Welcome to another I Am Human podcast. We have Rich here, Montana.
Hey.
What's going on?
Matt's over in the corner. And away we go.
He's introduced. All right, so I want to start this off, Scott. I'm going to ask you a question. So you are a man with many passions throughout his life. I think you're still gaining new passions as you grow older, like a fine wine. Basically, what I want to ask you is, what is your advice to find the passion that you think that, you know, this is what is right for me to move forward with in life, that I should pursue this passion?
I think your description tells us what the issues are in this society. That you asked me, how do you find it? It's the only thing you arrived here with. It's in you when you hit the planet. Just be quiet and let it come up. That's what meditation is. You want to know what you're here to do. You want to know how you're supposed to be acting. Go quiet and let the voice come through you. It's in there. But the world in which we're in, and you are a particularly good example because you had a situation in your life in which you were told how to act and how to be, suppresses. For me, my best story I could tell you is when I was a kid, from as far back as I can remember to about the age of 8 or 9. I had that voice and I operated by that voice in my head that told me, hey, let's go have fun, let's go do good stuff, let's call our friends and go play. Oh, Johnny's hurt, let's walk him home and take care of him. Oh, Charlie has nothing to eat, let's give him half our sandwich. That was built in. No one had to say, give the kid half your sandwich. If you cared about the kid, you gave him half your sandwich. You didn't have to be taught that. As life go on, I will never forget there was a period there where I guess you're going from being 8, 9, 10 years old to a little older, and now you're going to do stuff on your own, and everybody's concerned for your well-being. So they started to say things like, don't be too nice. Scotty, don't be too nice.
I've heard that.
People will take advantage of you. Don't be too nice. And in me, there's this voice that's saying, there's nothing to be scared of. The world's a good place. Everybody will help you along your way. Just like you, Scott, will help people along your way. I recognize that voice at that age, but the slanting of my education towards being fearful made me abandon that voice. Made me say, wait a second, that's just me talking to me, and I don't know anything because I'm 9, and I've got mom and dad telling me, you know, your friend's going in your room, he might take that baseball you got from Willie Mays, he may pick that up. Why the hell would he do that? He's my friend. What are you talking about? And, you know, and 1 out of 100, the kid stole the baseball, so now that was the thing to watch out for. Well, 99 times the kid didn't steal the baseball, so what are you doing? You know, but the world functions from a state of loss. And by the way, if the guy needs that baseball that bad, let him have it. It's a friggin' baseball. You know, and life is that way. But the issue for me was I was led to believe I had to find my way. In other words, watch what Matt does, see if that works for you. Watch your uncle, see if that works for you. Watch this one. But they're not you. So whatever you do has to be true to who you are. And it took me a level of absolute frustration at about the age of 30 some odd years where I said, this is just not working. There is no happiness here. I can build stadiums, I could sell stadiums, and where's the love? Where's the vibe? Where's that thing when my friends and I would play a game of football or wiffle ball or whatever, that it was pure fun? Or even when I'd work with my dad and we'd build something, and at the end of it we had built something. But that was the total experience. Do the hard work, turn around, look, and we had a deck in our backyard. And then we had a deck around the pool. And then we had a slide into the pool. And my dad built everything. If you told my dad, hey, listen, I'll sell you a pool and it'll cost you $400 to build it, my dad would go, I could build it for less than $400, and out we'd be. And God bless my dad, because if it was not for my dad, when I had to go do something I had never done before, I probably would have hesitated. but my dad believed he could do anything, and part of that was his Eagle Scoutness. My dad was an Eagle Scout, and I know that sounds strange here because Boy Scouting is not that popular, but to me, the things that it taught to my dad made him a hell of a man. You know, made him a better person, a more capable person. And I think that kind of tutorship or that kind of mentoring that the Boy Scouts is unbelievably valuable. But that goes back to teaching you things you're born with.
Right.
Be good to others.
So you're saying that
help the old lady across the street. Not, hey, listen, there are some young people who dress up as old ladies, and when you go to help them, they're going to mug you. That's how the world has gotten today.
Yeah.
That you can't touch that old lady. She could have a disease. That's where we've gone to.
Right.
You need to follow there's a guidance in you, there's a heart in you. I thought about this the other day, and it's, I just can't get it out of my head that I sit here, and number one, I think, and I don't know where that comes from. But number two, whether I'm awake or asleep, my heart pumps, my blood flows, my pressure is maintained, my food digests, and people will sit in a room with me and say there are no miracles. It can all be explained by science. Well, then, if you followed it very appropriately, it can all be explained by science to an extent. If you can't explain it all the way, it's not science.
Yeah.
It's like that panel we had the other day. What does it say?
Something unknown
Something unknown.
is doing we don't know what.
It comes down to the scientific explanation for everything. The only legitimate one I've ever heard is something unknown is doing we don't know what.
Yes.
So you want to spend millions of dollars putting a telescope in space, billions of dollars putting a telescope in space rather than feeding hungry people on Earth? You have lost me. Because I'm sure when you look up to the heavens, the more important factor is not understanding what's out there, feeding the people who exist here today. That's a bit of craziness. That's where we are. We can't go further in this direction. We need to go back. We need to be the children we are. Act like children, behave like children.
Yeah.
I spoke with my grandson the other day. He told me I was right. Even my 8-month-old grandson looks at me and he is conjuring stuff in his head.
Right.
Thinks you're crazy.
I guarantee you it's not negative shit.
No,
I guarantee you it's, man, I like
learned
this
behavior.
grandpa. He's a funny son of a gun. Look at that face. He carries me around. He throws me in the air. This is good shit. Up, here comes that lady I'm not so fond of. What am I going to do? Whatever. But it's not, it's not you suck. You know, here comes Super Grandma, my wife. What a great day, party time. You know, looking for the good. There's a huge issue on the planet right now, which is somebody made a determination to spend a couple of $1 billion on a telescope to send into space rather than solve hunger in the U.S.
Yeah.
Man, that's got to be some important information you're getting back to space if the option is keeping people from dying. And the fascinating piece is whoever developed that, if their parents or their children were starving and their boss said, I don't have the money to feed them, but we're sending this telescope up, there'd be a different result. Everybody is removed from the problems that we can fix. We need to engage with the problems we can fix. We need to take care of one another. And back to your question, when you examine what makes you happy and what you enjoy, pursue that. Pursue more happiness. You have an indicator. When you do something and the hair stands up in your arms, you and I talk about hair standing up in the arms. We share that experience.
Yes.
You are how old?
31.
From 25 to 40, I don't think my hair stood up. Because I was out of touch with that voice. I nose to the grindstone, build the business, make the money, pay the bills, improve myself, improve my family status. And by the way, when I use the word improve, it meant monetarily and to the perception of others. It did not mean improve. It did not
At a
mean
different
come
level.
home to a happier place. It did not mean love them more. It did
Family
not mean
functioning
love
properly.
yourself more. It meant society has determined that if you can make 150 grand, it's better than 100. And if you can make 200, it's better than 150. And if you can make 500, well, shit, you got to be just thrilled.
So at the cost of an actual relationship and functioning properly.
I'm going
you're saying
to tell you that
that's true
where I am
success.
now, looking at people that I meet, there is zero parallel between the amount of money you make and your happiness.
Yeah.
The whole thing was bullshit. The whole thing was commercial propaganda sent so you're busy. By the way, what does our Constitution guarantee?
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
So it doesn't guarantee happiness, but it guarantees this is a good place to pursue it.
You need to
What kind of
strive
shit
for
is
it.
that? You walked into my car dealership and I said, hey, give me $1,000 and I'll let you pursue that car.
Yeah.
That's the biggest con that was ever sold. You could pursue happiness in Russia. You're not going to get there probably, but you could pursue it.
Some might.
We could,
Something you've
So
helped
it's
me
perception.
realize definitely is that happiness is within you. It's a choice. You make a decision to be happy. No amount of money can make that change in any way, and it really just comes from a state of mind on what you choose that day. But when it comes to having your purpose, I know that that's within you. You don't have to find it. You'll know. But
Well, you have to
something-
allow it to emerge. You have to
Okay,
recognize
because
it.
At my age, I'm 27, and I still feel like I have some soul searching to do. What's your take on the term soul searching? Is it cliche to you, or do you think there's a bastardization behind
Well,
it?
no, I think it's equal to what he said before. I think the idea of soul searching means you need to go somewhere to do it or you need to work at it. It's actually you need to work less at what this society feeds you. You need to work at clearing the junk and saying the weirdest question, how do I feel? And you'll agree with me, I know you will, that you wake up in the morning and sometimes how you feel is influenced by what's going on. That's not how you feel. How you feel is under that. That's what's going on now.
I need to be more conscious of that.
Or less conscious.
think we all do.
I would say,
Yeah, anyone should, yeah.
you need to be less conscious of the minutia, allowing that to emerge. You don't have to focus your consciousness on how do I feel? How do I feel?
Deep down.
You feel naturally. That's what you do. You're blocking your feelings. You're saying, oh, I'm so confused. I'm supposed to be in love with a really good looking guy. Why? Why?
Well, that's
Because the
you're taught
magazines,
that.
the paper, the internet
Yeah.
says it's
the
Machine
norm.
Gun Kelly
It's
and
everyone,
Megan
hey.
Fox. Happy engagement. I'm not going there. That's all I'm saying.
Send
Good
you a
luck.
heirloom.
But if you don't look like Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox, fuck, what do you got? What you have is perhaps a different wrapping. But what you have inside may be indeed the spiritual equivalent of what they have on the outside. You know, and
Or what's shown
and
to
the
be
book and the cover
that.
thing is true. You can wrap me up all pretty and I can be the worst person on the planet. But in this society, if I'm wrapped up all pretty, I probably can stay a more negative person for my whole life because the world will more readily accept me.
Yeah, but think about that. In nature, the most colorful things are usually the most poisonous. So to be honest with you, it's I think, a way to
Why are you
look at that.
whispering, Rich?
I'm not. Am I really?
To think about it.
and you said to be honest.
So
Yes.
was.
All right.
That's how you
All right.
sound like.
I'm still learning.
You're doing great.
Yeah, but
To be clear,
I am.
But see, that's advertising because in the bird world, the prettiest ones are the male and they're trying to get the attention of the woman. I think if the bird spirit was correct, they just walk out there and say, hey, you know, and the girl go, you know, he's not that colorful, but I think I like him anyway. You know, but
I've had that happen. to me.
I think for me, the other thing I would say to you, Montana, and it's only because it came to me, I learned a lot about myself through work. And I read something the other day about work that just literally took my breath away. And it was described as work is the manifestation of love. And where I get that is there was a time in my life where I was the hardest working person you ever met, because I had lost my home, I had lost my business, I had lost everything, and I felt very, very, very small. And I wanted to work to get back to a place where, believe it or not, for my age, I was supposed to be, measured by the culture. So all that pressure put it on me, and all I focused on was getting back to where I was supposed to be. What I learned because of the level of work was, when you focus on the work and you're doing the work for the sake of doing the work, very Buddhist. If you're washing the dishes, wash the dishes, be present. Do a good job on the dishes. Don't see it as demeaning. See it as, this is what I need to do right now, so I might as well do it the best I can. That is, to me, one of the biggest issues with the generations coming up now. That everybody wants a great reward before they do the great accomplishment. They want the money and the fame and the whatever, when I firmly believe, do the work. I agree with the person I don't know much about, Gary V. Do the work. And Gary, it's fun to watch you, so I enjoy that, and I think we philosophically jive. But doing the work, and I'll use Gary V. Gary V is a hardworking guy. I can tell by the passion he puts into it and everything else. But I would also tell you that it's probably not work to him.
Yep.
Right. You can see
There's
he
a
loves
love
what he's
in
doing.
it.
Right.
There's a love in it.
Passion is there.
And it applies to the single mother who goes out and gets 2 jobs cleaning houses. She can walk into the house to clean a house and go, God, look at these rich people. They have everything. I'm cleaning their house. This sucks. And drag her ass through an 8-hour day. Or she could go, because I'm cleaning this house, the kid I love at home will go to a better school and better himself. And this is like winning the lottery to me. So I'm going to do a great job cleaning this house. And while I'm doing it, I'm going to choose to be happy, because the only one that suffers when I say cleaning this house sucks is me. And
I also think
the
that you could
opportunity,
see the good in any opportunity. She could find cleaning therapeutic. She could learn to love it and also meditate while doing her job. She has a job that might allow her to do so.
I think it's all about perception at that point.
Well, you see, but you're describing it. You're describing it as something she almost wants to avoid being in. And what I'm saying is,
I just say it like it's like a part of her is what I mean.
yeah, but I'm saying if I go to clean your house, I can do it one of 2 ways. I can do the minimum. I can try to get it done in 3 hours so I can go have a beer or do something else. Or I could say I'm going to clean this house, and when the house is done, it's done. And I know the owner will be happy, and I'll be happy because I did a good job, and that's what I'm here for. That is not the resting mindset of most of the youth in this country. Most of the youth would say, I'm going to clean this house. They're paying me $200. If I can get it done in 2 hours, I'm making $100 an hour. That's a good deal. Let's go. Well, if you do it in 2 hours, you're not going to do a good job, so you won't continue to get the $200. If you just get into it and say, this is what I'm doing, and do a quality job so that they're happy and I'm happy, and then you're building something.
Be present.
Then you might be
Care. Care. Do I want to do the job of cleaning your house? If I went home and cleaned my house, would I spend more time and do a better job? If the answer is yes, I shortchanged you.
Yeah, definitely.
The mind today is, how much can I get away with? How much can I shortchange my buyer? That's not an investing mind. And that's not a mind that you as a person can go home, look in the mirror, and have pride in. And that's the hardest thing for me as a kid to negotiate. Because if I give you more time, I have less with my family. But who do I want to be? Do I want to be the guy who gets home with my family and thinks about, I hope Montana doesn't realize I didn't clean under the couch?
Yeah.
You know, do I want to live with that? Or do I want to go home and say, I did a great job, and you know what? This cleaning business is cool, and Montana's going to recommend me. The short-sighted money says, fuck, she's going to pay me anyway. I can get home an hour early. I'm going home. And that person wakes up 3 years down the road and goes, I'm really tired of this cleaning job. I'm really tired of this cleaning job. You're tired of this cleaning job. You were tired of this cleaning job day one.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that that's a problem with our generation. You need to embrace the moment.
And by the way,
Way
I don't want to be 63 years old and throw it on, what's wrong with you kids? Because in my generation, there were equally as many people with a similar attitude. But I will tell you, in my opinion, in my generation, we were dreamers. The guys I hung out with dreamt about a lot of crazy stuff and had big dreams and pursued them. And I think today, a lot of young people are spending their time watching other people's big dreams. A want is not a dream.
I mean, we have the most visual
no.
stimulation out of anything with Instagram and all the other types of, Facebook, Twitter.
I
You
think
can
it comes
see
down to the
others'
person.
success. Right, but I'm saying I think it's easy to get caught up in that.
I have the same
though.
amount of exposure to that stuff as the guy next to me. There's a big difference between me and that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just the fact that
It-
to
it-
some
it-
people.
But no. There's a difference between you and that guy because you won't let that minutia get in the way of your dream. You
Right, but
you
that's
have
my
a
point,
dream.
That it doesn't have to. I don't think.
No, I'm
I
not
think-
saying it has to. I'm saying it just does. That because of the ease of me saying, by the way, me, my life is better if I stay away from TV and the internet.
Right.
I think that everybody's life is better if they stay away from TV and the internet.
I think it's
I'm not saying
definitely-
stay away
Easily
altogether,
swayed.
but stay away.
It's
Well, especially when
toxic.
But
somebody's
it's
already at that point.
medicative.
Right.
Because
It's easier to sit in front of the couch, put the TV on, and let the time pass. The problem is you can't get the time back.
With that, I think the difference is that when you see someone like that, usually they're at that forefront where they're popular, they have many followers, whatever the case may be. They've already hit that success, or at least somewhat of that success, where they've reached one of their goals and they're on to the next one. It's hard to see that because you don't see the process that led up to that. You don't see the countless sleepless nights that they put into that. So I think that it's easy for people to see, and they expect it to be easy.
But even
because it's portrayed
even
as such
so,
right off
even
the bat.
so, what length of time would Kim Kardashian have to stay out of the news or not post to be of less value? So she may be this big famous person.
Instant, pretty much with our society. I
That
think.
that's the way it is, but that's not the way it is. The value at you is the value you. If people want to participate, that's fine. I think you're in a very opportunistic era, where if I can convince you that I'm the shit to follow me, I can sell you anything.
Well,
the toxicity behind
most at least.
social media, I feel like, is people choose comfort and rather to have patience is passion. You need to have passion and patience together, or you can't be passionate. People would rather get stuck under their screen visualizing somebody else's dream rather than
Everything's
being
instant
patient
at
with
that
their own
point.
passion and
It's not-
finding
and it's not the way
themselves.
it
It's
is.
literally
We're gonna get yelled at. Over
it
here.
takes you on a medicative trip of not reality.
No, it takes you on a mind-numbing trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. But what I'm trying to touch upon is that it's a conscious decision.
Oh, you can stay out of it if you
Yeah,
want.
that's
but
my
that's
point.
what this is
It's-
about. It's like
it's a-
Montana saying, how do I find that?
I think it's.
By the way, you put yourself in a position where the voice inside of you will be heard. It hasn't stopped talking to you.
Still talking to me right now.
You just can't hear it.
You
Yeah,
can't hear it
absolutely.
because of the din produced by the rest of the world. What a great word. Use of the word din. My mom would be so proud. But anyway, the ever-present noise made by the rest of the world. But free yourself up to that. It's like what I'm experiencing now. But I have gone to a different level because I'm 63 years old, and I don't have to hustle and bustle for a living or to get by to any of that. So I'm getting to explore more and more what spirituality is. And I'm finding, like they say that you should treat people like you want to be treated. That there are very simple rules that if you implement them, there's nothing to worry about and there's nothing to fear. I'm getting to that point, and that's a marvelous point. One of the reasons I'm able to get there, in fairness, and I'll share it, is I have the time to get there. And I can put the idea to the test. Is it true if you freely share your wealth and help people out and do all that, that will come back to you? Is that true? Well, one of the problems with experimenting with that is if you don't have enough money to get by, you're under pressure that it better be true.
Well,
Right, you're banking on the fact that
You
that's
think
what-
you're under
right,
pressure.
Yeah,
because
well-
that's what you don't have.
that I think you've already proven that to yourself because you've
No,
already,
I've proven
you've
it to
already
me,
done those things
but-
even when you weren't sure whether it was going to come back.
Correct, but that's because I'm a little crazy. So I was able to take the leap.
Unique.
But now, thank you, very nice of you. But what I want to do now with Verloom, and that's the basis of the company, is to say, this is a good thing. It came to me in a dream. I'm going to use that dream to better my life, my kids' life, my family of people who work with me, and charities around that. That's the purpose of the company. If what they say about helping others, you will never go wrong, this company will explode.
And I believe it will just because of the product and how neat of an idea it is. It's unique.
Remember, the idea came to me.
It did
Kind
it
of
did
like
come to
spirit.
you.
Kind of
Well,
like
what do you-
spirit.
What do you think about the thought that you don't get to choose how those blessings come back to you when you do good things? You know,
Well, I think it's.
I-
I think that's
Does it
interesting.
start
Oh,
with-
you mean how they come back or when?
It's more or less.
Or when?
I don't think you
This
get to
this
choose.
goes to my recent revelation that I can plant the seed of heirloom. I can plant the seed of Hitchinson. By the way, it will work. The company will prosper. I
believe so.
cannot define when.
Right.
All I can do is keep tending it. Keep tending it like a garden or a plant or something like that. And it will flourish if we have done the right thing, if we created it with good intent, if all of these things. There is a luxury. There is a luxury of being a guy who can sit back and wait for it to flourish. Whether you have that luxury or not, that's the truth of life. I could go plant corn in a cornfield, come out 2 days later and jump up and down and go, where's the fucking corn? Except I know it's going to take a month or two. But people do that same stuff with everything in their life. How come he doesn't love me? How come, I invested this money and it's not doing this? Well, maybe you don't have the right attitude. Maybe you're not practicing the laws you should practice. Or maybe it's just not time. But if your whole day is spent worrying about these things, you don't have enough positivity for that to happen anyway.
Yeah, you already lost.
Well,
Yeah,
it
but
kinda
I'd
goes
take
back
away
to,
from
like,
that.
Yeah,
Good intent is the answer.
right. Like go into
Love
it
is the
without-
answer.
We shouldn't
Todd
expect
Rundgren.
something. Right?
What?
I said you shouldn't expect something. Like when you do it, that intention should just be the fact that this is what I'm doing right now, not because I'm expecting.
I-
Yeah, you're not
oh,
doing
when,
something
when is
to
this
have
going
it
to
come
come
back.
back? You know what I
That's
mean? It's
that's
more
the world of
intent.
spirituality where they say, where it gets a little dicey for me, like you shouldn't expect anything. I think you can expect love to beget love. I think you can expect hate to beget hate. I think you can expect that.
But I think if
you
it-
can't
Like,
expect
get in
it
what
to
you
be
put out, basically, or
a
vice
love
versa.
that you imagined in your head, but you can't expect it to generate its kind.
Yeah, there's no perceived images. It's just something.
No guaranteed delivery,
Yeah.
but there is a guaranteed return. There is a guaranteed
Right.
return, and
'Cause
if
you
I
know
didn't
from-
believe
that
that,
feeling should be.
You know, you did it from the
inside of
goodness in your heart.
Right.
and by
that's
the way,
rewarding.
part of the return, and this is when it gets really cool, is just doing it. Hey, by the way, I got a choice. I could do A or I could do B. A is the right thing to do. Well, then you don't have a choice.
Right. Well,
You don't really have a choice if you want to work within the laws of the universe. You must do A. You must do it. Or you're saying, fuck it, I'm going over here. And then you're expecting a good result?
well, I think that at that point, though, you need to reflect on those choices that you have made. Maybe you have been going with choice B, I think more people need to be more honest with themselves and say, I chose B.
But that's what
instead of expecting the result of choice A, but I'm still going to go with choice B.
But that's the hope of this. It's like somebody who, I leave $100 on the couch and Matt sits down next to me, picks up the 100, saw me walk away and tucks it in his pocket.
Right.
He did not just have $100 windfall. He just robbed me.
Right.
Yeah.
He benefited
And
on
you
your
know
on
that's
the
wrong.
your
People
poor
know
fortune.
You know that wrong. That's wrong. Why?
Because the voice inside
The voice
you is
inside
telling
you even knows that's wrong.
Yeah.
Your heart knows the right thing to do.
Right.
And when you go against it and go, no one was looking or whatever, be prepared for your life to get stuck with a moment when the universe says to you, I know you were expecting her to love you, but no one was looking.
Yeah, you're,
Yeah,
you're also
carries
creating a
with
lot
you.
of negative energy inside of you by not listening to that voice.
And by the way, that goes back to the people who right now are going, these people are crazy. They're talking about negative energy and everything. I go, to that I say, is your heart still pumping? Do you have a blood pressure? Do you have a thought in your head? There's crazy shit going on all the time, but everybody doesn't look at it, so everything has an explanation and it's all mechanical. It's not. It's not. There is love. Love is the highest power on the planet. Love more. Your life will get better. For me, I'll say, I love you if I want more for you than I want from you. You love me if you want more for me than you want from me. That's very easy to recognize. And the thing that astounds me, and I've been exceedingly lucky with the woman I married for 38 years, she wanted more for me than she wanted from me. And I wanted the same thing for her. That is as good as it gets. You're extremely, I don't know if you're lucky, I think maybe you're open to it. But to me, I mean, I'll give you that Montana's dad, Tommy, wants more for me than he wants from me. I'm loved by him.
Same.
I know that. No, I know that. And when somebody doesn't have that, you know that. But there's a Jimi Hendrix song, Little Wing. You ever heard it? Yeah. Okay. Take anything you want from me. And long time ago, it's part of why I have a freely giving attitude. What really can you take from me of value? When you say, how do you protect yourself? You protect yourself by being immune, by understanding, let's say Matt does something unkind to me. Have I done unkind things to people in the past? Yes. Why did I do them? Because I was not right. Not because I hated Matt. Because I had a need that Matt didn't know about, or I had a sickness, or I was drug addicted, or I was short money, or I needed to pay the rent. Something he didn't know about is the reason I did wrong to him. But by the way, unless he's God himself, he's probably done that. Why would I protect myself from you doing what I've done? I just need to understand it. I don't need to protect myself. And if you take from me, the truth of the matter is, all the fear in the world, yes, could you take my car? Could you take my money? Could you take my... Those are things. By the way, no one has to take them. I'm leaving them here. They're not mine.
That's 100% true.
Try that on. They're not mine. They're on loan. And if they're on loan and you take it, and when you get this in your head, and that is not a factor of the money I have. When I was broke, I had the same mindset. If you needed and I had it, I gave it to you if I thought you were sick and suffering and this would help. Because that's what I would want somebody to do for me. You know what I mean? When you're sick and suffering and you need help, you're too damn sick and suffering to find your way out. It's overwhelming. You're like, I don't know what to do. The rent's due and the house is cold and the kids have nowhere to sleep. Will you dance with the devil? Yes. What song? That's the reality. So, but when it's done to you, how dare they did that to me? What are you talking about? Go back in your memory. Remember a time when you did the wrong thing and cut them some fucking slack.
Look at it from a
Can
different
you
angle.
say, I won't deal with him again? I don't need to be exposed to that?
Yes.
That's fine. Or hopefully, I hope he gets some help. I hope he learns some lessons, and then I'll talk to him again. But if you don't do that, how do you allow yourself that grace?
Right, 'cause
How do you not, and by the way, and a lot of people do it, a lot of people cannot love themselves. Cannot love themselves because of things they did. Those are things they did. Those are not who you are. And you can always change and become a better person. And you can, if you're a decent person, you can become a better person. And it's as I said the other day, success to me now, and this is a week-old revelation of what success is. Success is being the best version of what your essence is now. Taking advantage of all the gifts that God gave you and delivering them to mankind will make me successful. You know, and by the way, the fear thing, the I don't know if he's good for me. I don't know if I wanted that. I don't know what he's going to do. He scares me a little bit. If you cannot turn that into a love thing, I feel so bad for this guy. He's suffering at a level that I can remember suffering of once. If I can't help him, then I'll remove myself. But maybe I can help him. If that's your first thought, rather than, oh, I know he's going to fuck me. I know it. It's just a better way of life. That's why when people, you know, I've always had a problem, and you've seen me do it. Matt's seen it because he's involved in the business a lot. I'll be in a business meeting and I'll sign off an email, love you. People think that's weird. I am actually of the mindset now. You only started working here a short time ago. I want more for you than I want from you. What does that mean? It means I love you. Why is that so uncomfortable?
It shouldn't be.
Definitely
Why when I meet you must I have a neutral position? That's not what the Bible says. That's not what any of it says.
I think it leads back to everything, like you said, like.
But our culture has said, I don't know him.
Right.
You kind of do know him. Maybe
right.
he doesn't know him.
He's going through the
Maybe
same thing
he's
you're
stuck
going
in
through.
suffering and sickness.
Right.
But you do know him. You know him. You were a baby just like him. And when you were a baby, before you got input, Johnny Five, before you got input, you're too young for Johnny Five. I hate that shit.
I got it.
What's the name of the movie?
Short Circuit.
You got to watch a little Short Circuit,
It's
my
great.
friend. Okay. But I believe that one time is because non-believers, and I mean non-dreamers, attach to the negative because it supports their reason they're not where they want to be.
It's an excuse at that point, though, right?
I got to sit here and watch out because everybody's trying to take from me. That pressure will overwhelm your ability to move forward.
I'm safer here.
It will stifle you. And the other thing I'll say to you, because I think it's so, it's true of myself, that I was stuck in my life working, and I owe an apology to both my boys. I worked so much that I didn't, and work, I was working out of love. They didn't know that. They didn't feel the love when I built the stadium and made $1 million. They didn't feel that. It's more important to love the people and to love everyone. I'll go
To
as far as to
nurture
say
the love.
to love. It's more important to love than to do things in the cause of love.
What would
You know, and I think your generation has watched a lot of people strive rather than rejoice. I think if there was more rejoicing, then you'd say, shit, I want what that guy has.
Well, do you think it would be more or less? The answer would be more. I think in my head would be balance there, because you need to put that hard work in, but at the same time,
I got to tell you, and I
love.
think it's me because I'm a little friggin' nuts, but the last thing I want to be is balanced. The last thing I want to be is predictable or
Right.
balanced.
No.
I don't want to be stable.
No, I think
I want to be volatile. I want to be responsive. I don't
Yeah.
want to be static. I don't want to
No.
be docile.
I think I mean
don't-
more or less
Retweet.
balance of that work and love, like, because at the end of the day, you're working, and if you're working for the right reason,
No,
as you would
I
say,
think
for the love of your,
I think it would have
to
been as
support.
simple as sitting my sons down at 14 or 15 years old and go, hey, listen, this is how the world works.
Right.
I made a mistake and dug a hole and lost my business, lost my home, lost all this. So I need to put this effort in to get back to where I be. I apologize, but I'm doing out of love for you.
Right.
All I had to do is come
that
clean.
Communication is there.
All I had to do is put my heart out there and say, understand, I miss you.
But would you say that that's something, again, from that same thing that stops you from, you know, having that love from when you're a baby, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's, I
It's
need
the
to
culture.
keep this from my children because I'm protecting them. Where
No,
really,
I
if you
need to
talked
keep this
them, it
from my
would've been better.
children because I'll appear weak.
Right, right. But
That's
that communication
really what
would've
that
actually made
was.
it a stronger bond.
But that's the same thing. That's the same thing that if I ask you, other than me, how many people do you talk to on a regular basis who are 20 years older than you?
Not much. I mean,
And then I will say,
Now it's
do you
different.
suspect that somebody your age has more experience than you do? And you'll say,
well, 20-year-old me would say no. 31-year-old me would say, fuck yeah, I want to hang out with more people who have been through that because now I see.
but
those
I'm saying
things.
on average, a 31-year-old's experience is probably akin to another 31 years
Yes.
old. So the smart money, if he wants wisdom, goes 20 years up. But you don't have any. Why? And this has bothered me for a long time, and I did not suffer from it. I had a marvelous mentor who is 20 plus years my senior, mentored me for 35 years. Okay, I didn't get smarter by accident. I had somebody who taught me. But today, younger people think, why would I listen to him? Fucking guy can't even email correctly. That would be about me. Can't text correctly, doesn't know how to attach a picture to a fucking thing.
Still writes in script.
He's an idiot. He still writes in script and can't spell. He's an idiot. And I would submit to you that your parent, your grandfather, your neighbor, all those people have answers you're looking for and have the scars from doing it the wrong way that gave them those answers. But in our society, we don't do that. We don't go see somebody who's walking down the road, dressed sharply, had a successful business, and go, excuse me, I also would like to be in advertising. Do you have time to talk to me so I can learn something from you?
Right.
I'm going to tell you that out of 10 guys that you walk up to and ask that question who had a 30-year experience in advertising, I'll guess 6 would sit down with you for a cup of coffee.
The other 4 would probably charge you.
2 will
Charge you for their time.
2 will charge you, and 2 will tell you to fuck off.
There you go.
Okay.
Something that I wanted to do when I was working selling advertising, radio, and digital media, I always wanted to do, but never did, I wish I did, was pick people's brains, work my resources, and network with people that I know throughout my lifetime that are important to me, have made an impact to my family, friendship, love. Example, Scott would have been someone I would have reached out to, my father, but even like other people that I'm not even as close with, that own businesses in different industries, or not even necessarily own businesses, just work in different industries. I wanted to take time aside to pick somebody's brain from each industry that I know well, where I can educate myself on the industry, so when I prospect for potential advertisees, that I would know what I'm talking about their business, and then reach out to them from a marketing advertising perspective and use that standpoint, but strategize from the help of my elders and people around
So
me.
how did
And
that-
you,
Well, I
and you
think-
didn't do
but
that.
Didn't do it, but there should be more of that.
But why didn't you do it?
I got busy.
I think it kind of goes back to
I
what
know.
Scott was saying
No,
before,
no, no,
though.
no, 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 no. Not
That's all
true.
going to come from the experience.
You didn't do it because you're comfortable.
That could have been it.
Okay.
But I've grown a lot since
Throw
then.
yourself into
And
uncomfortable
the other thing that I'll
situations.
mention just, in this, is I had a very nice conversation with Matt yesterday. He came to me and opened up a can of worms I did not expect. It was more a personal question than a business question. And it was, from my perspective, great. And the greatest thing about it was an exchange of love. There was no purpose for it but to see if I had in my experience, in the file of my life, something that would be helpful to him. I came out of the room being helped by being asked a question. He came out of the room being helped by somebody responding to his question. What does this go back to, my editor and director? That exchange was what?
Mutually beneficial.
He wanted more for me than he wanted from me.
But is that
And I
also,
wanted more for him than I wanted from him.
But do you think that because of the way you look at that situation, that you were able to be beneficial in that situation? Because
No,
again,
I think
you're
even
giving
the
me
guy,
advice.
back to our 10 people we asked for help,
Yeah.
even the 2 who told you to fuck off, would benefit if they sat down for the coffee. It's just they're
But it's
so immune to loving a stranger, and Matt's not a stranger.
Wouldn't that be their perception, though? How you go into
No,
it?
it's
how
their
you go into
defense.
it,
It's not their
mindset.
perception. It's their manufactured wall.
Right.
Perception is, you know, I think he might be a prick. When I say I'm not meeting with anybody, I'm not evaluating him. I'm
Or-
just saying no to everybody.
Well, yeah.
That's not a perception. I didn't perceive him. I just said fuck off.
Right.
It's just a flat staple
Well, I think at
default
that point it's
answer.
subconscious because you're at a point where he's so successful that he said "fuck off." What is this?
By the
what
way,
is this
if he
kid
said
worth my
fuck
time?
off, he's indeed not successful.
Right. Well,
Because he's
right.
not being the best at what he is. That's the problem
That
with
should
the
be
world.
the
Oh, look at him.
definition
He has a
of it.
Maserati, he has a
Yeah.
nice suit, and he has a pretty house. He's successful.
Is he though?
No.
Or is she,
Well, maybe.
though?
Maybe. I won't say because he has those things, he's a bad guy. But I'm just saying that, but that lends into all of it. So you're going to have a tough time editing this shit, my friend. There's a lot here. It's good shit.
He's
but
got it.
But anyway, and I mean that if we can do something, just so you know, if we can do something here and have things like this and have people say, like Laverne said the other day, I watched your podcast and this stuck with me.
Yeah.
That brings me so much pleasure because the way I've learned what I've learned is mentorship of pain. Boy, when you go the wrong way down the road and you make the left turn for the 5th time where you should have made a right, you get hit by that truck, it hurts.
Do we try
Yeah.
and avoid that pain though, or do you think going through some of that
You
pain
should
actually put you where you
should
are
try
now?
to have somebody tell you about that pain and avoid it.
Yeah.
That I never understood even my dad. My dad had life experiences that we never spoke about, and I'm sure I learned the same painful lessons myself. Right now, for the length of time that man's been on the planet, it seems to me we should be living a painless existence because all of the mistakes that anyone has made have been made before.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going out, sending a telescope out to space to see what happened millions and I think billions of years ago. Can't we just try to make now better? Can't we just work?
See, I feel like
That's too
a
easy.
little conflicted about
that situation.
No, I feel conflicted specifically about people going through tough situations that ultimately make them who they are, and then in hindsight, you would probably say that those situations were a positive thing.
Look,
Because
I'm
you
going to
were
tell. I'm going to tell it to you differently. When I get in this situation, okay,
Yeah.
I'm sitting in my house and I'm behind on the mortgage and it's about to go into foreclosure, and I'm dodging the phone calls and I'm doing that and I'm doing that, and I talk to nobody, and I go over the waterfall because I'm way too past on the money, and life starts to chop me up. As opposed to, I'm behind 2 months. It is acceptable in our society to ask for help. So I ask somebody who would have the experience, and he gives me a map before I go over the waterfalls to get myself out. That experience of seeing the edge of the falls is plenty to learn.
Yeah.
Plenty. The tumbling down the falls and not breathing for 3 weeks is unnecessary. And if we were mankind, we would avoid that for our brother.
Mm-hmm.
The experience is still there. The mistake will still be made. You can't alleviate I cannot describe every problem to you so you don't make an error.
Yeah.
But I can be available to you when you made an error to say you have A, B, and C to pick from. A will do this, B will do this, C will do this. And by the way, A is the right thing, but it might cost you $30,000, or it might cost you 6 weeks work, or it might cost you X. That's not done.
Yeah.
That-
And I say I'm conflicted because I do agree with you. I think there's still a lesson to be learned without falling over the
Going over the
waterfall.
rocks.
Or
Yeah.
almost
Right.
going there.
I do believe that, but I also, it's, you know, to backpedal, like when you say that you worked so hard to catch up to where you thought you should have been.
My motivation was shame.
It was,
Shame.
You were upset.
Yeah.
I had
That
fucked
predicament,
up.
Right.
No, absolutely. But I also think that because things played out that way, that in that time that you worked so hard, that you thought that you were just catching up to where you were supposed to be, you were actually surpassing everyone at, you know, at that level.
You know what I was doing? Looking in hindsight, the thing that saved my ass, I became honorable. My mentor was probably the most honorable guy I ever met. I became honorable. If I gave you my word, I lived up to it. If I promised you something, I did it. And there was never a time where I took option B. And it was
Character.
expensive at times, but I took it. And what happens when you're honorable? Even the ex-drug addict grows to respect himself. And when you respect yourself, you can love yourself. And when you love yourself, you're immune to most of the shit.
Yeah.
Thinking about respecting yourself and believing in yourself, you say your motivation was shame, but would you say that you were also motivated by faith? Or do you think that that doesn't make sense and that faith kind of just leads the way regardless and it doesn't need to be motivated by?
I think my first motivation was shame. And then I think as I grew respect for myself and noticed that being motivated by shame and doing the right thing and trying to build my integrity, that the world returned the like thing, then the light bulb went on and went, wait. And literally, this was my thought, was 7-year-old Scott right? Is the world a good place? And I decided, and I've said it to you, I now think like a child. I am not interested in fear or worry or hatred, or I want to be stupidly happy. And then it turned into faith. You know, and it's funny, now that you say it to me, when I was making the effort and I was operating on shame and I was building my integrity, I had hope. Hope's bullshit. Hope's that little thing that gets you to faith. But if it doesn't end up in faith, hope is, it'll happen, it won't happen, I hope it happens. Mm-hmm. Faith is,
Yeah.
this is happening, I'm doing this is real.